Welcome back, everyone, to the next installment of Corpse Party Book of Shadows. We have now completed Chapter 5, Shangri-La, and so, at long last, we can move on to a new chapter. Shangri-La is rather appropriate, isn't it? From what I gather, I think Shangri-La is supposedly one of those paradise places that people really seek. Like, that place in... I forgot what it was called. El Dorado. Like, it's like the place that like may or may not exist, but everyone wants to go there. It's like heaven. And with Morishige, now that we've seen Mitsuki's body, that kind of makes sense. The next chapter's title rather intimidates me. Mire. Who are we following this time? Oh! You know, I'm going to have conflicted feelings about this one. Yuka's chapter was by far the most uncomfortable for me to watch in the previous game because she's Yuka. She's like this little kid that has all these really unnecessarily horrible things happen to her. But on the other hand, it's the Kizami chapter. And there were only 3 wrong endings this time. So it's not like all these horrible things are going to happen to Yuka, like only a few, and those are going to be really bad, but freaking Kizami, man! I am so excited. The first thing I saw when I opened my eyes was the ceiling of a dark, gloomy room with flickering, uncovered light bulbs. The random bursts of light they shone were so dim that they only just barely lit up the wood grain on the ceiling enough to see patterns in it. The back of my head hurt in the same way it would if someone had just pulled my hair really hard. I couldn't do anything about it, though, so I just frowned and waited for it to subside. I wondered if I'd hit my head somewhere. I suddenly realized that my feet weren't touching the ground, and there was a cold sensation all along my back. I must have been lying down on a hard surface. I tried to move, but both my arms and both my legs had gone to sleep, and they wouldn't budge. Wait a minute. This is the science lab, isn't it? Isn't this when Kizami put us on the table? This is like the end of Yuka's chapter, where Sachiko ironically saves Yuka, and does something to Kizami that we don't know what. All we know is that he became the model in the science lab later. What the hell is it? I'm curious. Kizami's gonna walk in any second, isn't he? I just had to keep lying here until they woke up. I gave up on moving and instead just stared up at the gloomy ceiling again. I knew it wasn't actually a person, but it really did look like one. And he was glaring down at me with a hateful expression. It was creepy. Oh, that was it. It looked like The Scream. That Munch painting. I probably said that wrong. We studied in class. Except this face was screaming in anger. He hated me. Yeah, let me give you a quick shot of The Scream. Really iconic picture. Brilliantly done. If only Big Brother were here with me. He'd just pat my head and laugh and tell me how silly I was being. Dicking around with Naho, looking for you. I was still a little disoriented, but I turned and twisted my head as best I could manage to see if I could find him anywhere nearby. Why was I sleeping in a place like this anyway? And why wasn't Big Brother at my side, like he always was? Would you believe that was the plot of the whole chapter? Why were we in the school to begin with? Maybe the charm failed and this was our punishment? Maybe I was the one who messed it up. I probably shouldn't even have been there. And if I hadn't asked him to help me try to find a bathroom, we wouldn't be separated right now. Well, you found a bathroom. But oh, there's a corpse in it. La-di-da, your majesty. I should have just held his hand and not let go. I could have lasted a little longer without peeing. But then you got kicked out of you by freaking Kizami. then we'd still be together.
お兄ちゃんとはぐれてから私はどうしたんだっけ。そうだ、やっとトイレを見つけて入ったんだ。そしたら
Yeah.
首を吊っている人がたくさん。
Yeah, the whole row of stalls was full. That was when she was with Kizami. She ran out in a panic. Kizami walked in. He was like, "What are you talking about?" And then he was very much amused when he walked into the bathroom.
それで驚いて廊下に出てへたり込んじゃって、その後は誰かと話したんだ。
Yes. And here he is now?
確か妹さんとはぐれちゃった人に会ったんだ。
That's what he said anyway.
一緒にお兄ちゃんを探してくれるって。名前はそう刻みゆうやさん。
Perfect. I forgot if he actually starts stabbing Yuka or not, but either way, Sachiko interferes.
痛いよ。なんで体が動かないの。なんで。
I then realized that I couldn't see my arms. Where were they? Why weren't they at my sides? They were still numb too, so I couldn't feel where they were either. But I tried my best to move them anyway.
この音縄だよね。私縛られてるの。
I thought maybe the reason I couldn't feel my arms or legs and couldn't move was because I was tied up really tight and it was cutting off my circulation.
お願い動いて。
With some effort, I was finally able to move my fingertips. I started feeling everything I could, grateful even for this little bit of reassurance.
なんか触った。
The rope around my wrists had been tied up tight and looped many times over, and with the circulation trickling back into my hands, it was really painful. I was so scared I felt like I'd forgotten how to breathe. There he is. False start the first time, but this time for real. The footsteps were echoing from out in the hallway. They stopped right in front of this room. I wriggled in place and screamed as loud as I could. I didn't even care about the old splintery rope cutting into my wrists and ankles anymore.
暴れない方がいい。余計きつくなってしまうよ。
Oh boy, here we go.
待たせてしまったようだね。暗くて怖かっただろう。
And Kurosaki's already dead, this means. Ugh. That's how it opens. Oh my god, this is gonna be uncomfortable to play. This guy's such a glorious asshole. He was looking at me with a caring, sympathetic smile on his face. He seemed to be really concerned about me. Yeah. I just love how frank he is. Like, at no point does he lie. The closest he came was, I'm looking for my little sister, but he did that whole, you are my little sister thing. Oh my god. That face is amazing. That's the greatest reaction, like, ugh.
だから僕と離れないようにしっかり縛っておかないと。
Remember that? He had this big sister who treated him like crap, and he was like, man, how are you such a bad sister to me? Like, if I had a little sister, I would love the hell out of her. He said something like that.
どうして？君こそ僕の妹なのになぜわからないんだ？
わかりません。だって私は。
ユカはまだ小さいからわからないのかもしれないね。
This guy.
大丈夫。これからお兄ちゃんが教えてあげるよ。僕たち兄弟はこれから分かり合うんだ。
His eyes looked like they were staring far off into the distance, like he was in a trance.
怖いよ、お兄ちゃん。
Ugh. Why was he doing this? Why did he tie me up? And why did he look so happy about it? I didn't get any of it. Every hair in my body was standing on end. I was terrified.
もう逃げられないの。
From the look of that picture, I'm really not thinking so. The corners of my eyes were on fire. I couldn't stop myself from crying. Tears were flowing down my face like a waterfall. There's not much you can do about this. Kizami smiled, then reached out and touched my cheek. His hand was ice cold. It was like there was no blood flowing through it at all, like the hand of a dead person.
君が目覚めてくれるのをずっと待っていたんだ。
さあ、僕に魂の輝きを見せてくれ。君のすべてをかけて、いい声で泣いてくれるよね。
He slowly and hesitantly took his hand off my cheek, then began walking around me, toward my feet. Then he gently grabbed my skirt with one hand, then drew a knife from his breast pocket with the other. Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
It's show time!
I freaking love this guy.
そう、それだよ。僕が求めていたのはその声、その顔だ。恐怖と絶望が頂点に達した時、魂は最高の輝きを放つ。それをもっと見たい。それを僕に向けてくれ。
Wow.
ゆかちゃんならもっと輝けるはずなんだ。大丈夫。お兄ちゃんが手伝ってあげるよ。
Can you believe Sachiko's like the good guy for like a minute in this scene?
鮮血にまみれ、
痛みにもがき、苦しむ姿は今よりもっと綺麗に違いない。どうしたんだい、ユカ。休んじゃダメだよ。まだまだこれからなんだからね。
さあ、お兄ちゃんって呼んでごらん。
Oh my god, this guy.
お兄ちゃん、助けて。お兄ちゃん、助けに来て。
何を言っているんだい、ユカ。
お兄ちゃんはほら、君の目の前にいるじゃないか。
ゆかのお兄ちゃん。
The panic and fear just kept getting more overpowering. I think I was hyperventilating. But Kizami showed no mercy. Instead, he reached out and grabbed my neck.
本当に生きているウサギはうるさいな。
息ができない。
なんて細い首なんだ。しなやかで柔らかい。
君の頸動脈の太さと頸椎の形がよくわかるよ。なんて戦場的な作りをしているんだ、君の数字は。苦しいかい？苦しいよね。ユカが悪いんだよ。僕以外のお兄ちゃんは。
With that, he let go of my neck, but then hastily pulled the knife in his hands right up to my face. He made sure I could see every inch of it clearly and just held it there, slowly turning it, for what felt like an eternity.
ちゃんと見えてるかな、ユカ。
The knife was stained with red splatter marks. No, not even red, just dark. It wasn't a color I knew well, but there was only one thing it could have been.
ああ、これかい？心配しなくていいよ。少し黒崎で汚れているけど、まだよく切れるから。
I was shivering so hard I could feel my teeth vibrating. A chill ran through every part of me, as if I were so afraid that it had actually lowered my body temperature. The chattering coming from inside my mouth was getting louder and louder, to such an extent that even I was getting distracted by it. Wow.
いい顔だ。僕の妹はいい仕事をする。
Really? Kizami suddenly tore my uniform, exposing my stomach.
だ、この水風船のようなお腹はたっぷり内臓が詰まっているじゃないか。
I remember this. He laid the knife blade flat across my belly button, and the sudden sensation of cold metal against my skin sent even more shivers up and down my spine.
痛かったら声を上げていいからね。
That line sounds familiar. Was that in the first game?
恥ずかしいことじゃないんだよ。もう終わりかい？どうしたんだい、ユカ。まさかこれで終わりじゃないだろう。せっかく欲しかった妹が手に入ったのに。
My throat was completely dry. I actually wanted to cry for help, but the walls of my air pipes were sticking together. Breathing was hard enough.
返事を、ユカ。ユカ。いい子だ。
I love this freaking guy. Fear had taken over. I couldn't hold myself back. I knew it wouldn't go over well, and I knew it would hurt, but I forced myself to cry out.
Hey! 君のお兄ちゃんは僕だろ。
謝りなさい、ユカ。
違うだろう。お兄ちゃんごめんなさいだ。 めて。
Not the best idea.
僕がお兄ちゃんじゃな。このなんだ今のは。
Perfect. He gets KO'd, like right now.
気のせいか。
Ew.
おもらしするほどに僕が嫌いなのか。
興味深いな。そんな格好になってまで兄貴を呼ぶのか。
なんて哀れな。
僕の可愛い妹だ。今気持ちよくさせてあげるよ。もうそんな哀れな姿で泣かなくていい。
哀れ。今俺はこの子を見て哀れと言ったか。なぜ哀れと思った。
Interesting.
何なんだこの気分は。かわいそう。俺にもそんな感情が。俺にもまだそんな感情が生まれる未来が残されているというのか。
To birth these paltry platitudes. Wow, Kizami.
他の奴らとは違う。この俺にも。
ですからあの子がそんなことするはずがありません。
Oh, good. Yet another Kizami flashback where he's messed up.
残念ですが本人はゆうやくんは相手の子を傷つけようと思ってハサミを持ったと言うんです。わざとやったとおっしゃるんですか。私たちが駆けつけた時彼は血だらけになった自分の手を見て
Ugh.
笑っていました。
How do you respond to that? Like if you're the mom, it's like, what?
とにかくこちらではもう対応しかねます。お引き取りください。待ってください。
なんだ、あいつの目潰れなかったのか。
俺は幼い頃から命に思いやりを持ったり他人の心を感じたりする方法がわからなかった。次第に親たちはあくまでも見るような目で俺を疎んじるようになり、兄と姉ばかりに愛情を注ぎ始めた。
Older brother?
成績優秀で人格者の兄と姉ばかり。
I knew about the sister. If there was mention of a brother before, I forgot.
さすが周りが揃って認める人格者は違うと思ったよ。親でさえ諦めた俺を兄と姉だけは接し続けていたんだ。特に兄貴はその吐き気がするほどの優等生ぶりを振りかざし、熱心に俺を、あいつは兄の立場を利用して俺に命令し
Wow.
俺にしつこくつきまとった。そうだ、小学生の頃俺は一度だけ本気で兄にぶつかったことがあったんだ。
なんてことしてるんだ。ヒューヤ、何を燃やしたんだ。
何って、
Ooh.
動物だよ。ああ、
匂うから怒ってんのか？しょうがないじゃん。今殺したばかりでまだ血が残って。いって。何すんだよ、バカに!
I honestly had no idea why it struck me, but this was the first time I'd ever been on the receiving end of violence, and I was pissed. I tried to jump him, but he was just too big. I didn't stand a chance.
どうして命を大切にしない？どうしてこんなことを？殺すなんて。なぜこんなことするんだ、ユウヤ！
うるせえ！俺が拾ってきたんだ。切り殺そうが何しようが俺の勝手だろ。
I couldn't believe the asshole actually threw a punch at me. I was determined to hit him back. I wasn't going to give up until I succeeded. Unfortunately, his size really was an insurmountable obstacle for me. My attempt to fight back was cut short by another, much harder blow to the same cheek.
黙れ！
That was twice now. I was so going to make him pay. I swore I'd injure him. My punch was going to connect. If I couldn't hit him in the head, any other part of his body would do just as well.
先に生まれただけで偉そうにしやがって。俺がもっとでかければ。
そういう問題じゃないだろう。成長しろ、ユウヤ。本当に頭の悪い男でなければいずれ理解できるはずだ。今ある体格差や年の差はすぐに何の意味もなくなる。大事なのは心の成長なんだ。他人の痛みが分かる人間になってくれ。
I could have sworn I saw tears welling up in his eyes. The hell was that about? He just beat me up and here he was looking sad?
俺は兄貴とは違う。
違わない。お前は俺の弟だ。ずっとお前は俺の弟だ。それは一生変わらない。
Ugh, I could still remember what a disgustingly sentimental look he was giving me when he said that.
死ねよ！死ね死ね死ね！兄貴なんか殺してやる！何すんだよ！
ゆうや、やめなさい！
Is that the sister then?
話せ！話せよ！待てよ、バカに！
いいか。大事なのは心の成長だ。
偽善者が。思いっきりぶん殴りやがって。
ゆうや、大丈夫？頭打たなかった？
ほっとけよ！
今はまだわからなくてもきっとあんたが大人になれば理解できるから。
俺のことを理解できないのは姉貴たちの方だろ。なんで俺が一番下なんだよ。下の兄弟が欲しい。俺ならもっと理解して絶対に可愛がってやるのに。
They brought that line back after all.
兄さんも私もあんたが大好きよ。
はあ？
私たちは分かってるから。あんたが本当は、いや、この子のお墓作ってあげようね、ゆうや。
そんなんゴミ箱に捨てりゃいいだろ。
ゆうや、あんたこのままじゃ一生一人ぼっちになっちゃうよ。
My sister grabbed me by both of my shoulders and looked me right in the eyes when she said this. But I didn't care about a word she was saying. I just pushed her away.
俺のことが好きだから。俺のことを分かったふりをするな、この嘘つき女！
ゆうや、嘘って。
俺は誰も信じない。誰にも負けない。俺に嘘をつくやつは許さない。絶対だ！
そうだった。この頃からだ。人間の本当の気持ちを。そう、 正直な反応を見るにはどうすべきか考えるようになったのは、周りの連中を理解できない俺のことを理解してくれる者などいない。処世術を得た俺は目立たず毎日を過ごすため、常にそういう自分を演じるようになっていた。つまらない話に興味を持ったかのように笑い、同情したふりを装い、傷ついた顔を作ってやった。偽りの仮面に気づかず笑顔で言い寄ってくるクラスメイトたち、奴らは全部嘘っぱちだ。本質も見えていないくせに上辺だけで人を分かったようなふりをする。俺の簡単な演技に騙される。頭の軽くて愚かな蔑視すべき存在。兄貴たちと同じだ。俺に嘘をつく許されざる存在だから試したいと思っていたんだ。他人を本当に理解することができる方法、俺を理解させる方法。気づかなかったろ。俺はずっとお前らを殺したいと思ってたって。死に際に立つ人間は正直だ。動物どもと同じ。みんな正面からこちらに向き合って本物の会話をしてくれた。一部を除いては。いい返事だ。それでいいんだ。もっと見せてみろよ、お前の裸の感情を。そうだ。
お前のためなんかに。
Back to this, are we?
悲鳴も命乞いも噛み殺して絶命した奴がいたんだった。なんだそりゃ、抵抗のつもりか？この時もなんと満たされなかったことか。幸せ。この空間に来て俺でも少しは変われるのかとの。だが人を殺めた後ですら俺に人間らしい感情は湧かなかった。
ゆうや、命は平等なんだ。ちゃんと覚えておけよ。
命は平等。ああ、確かに平等だったさ。殺す時は同じだったよ。人間も動物も虫けらも。でもまあ殺す感触は同じでも、さすがに人を殺めてしまった罪はもう引き返せないか。後悔はなかった。がもう自分には欲しい未来すら浮かばなかった。なんだ今俺は誰かを哀れんで。
お腹パンパン。
そう、この感覚だ。この俺が相手を哀れんでいる。そんなに震えて大丈夫かい？
おトイレに。
なんでここまで我慢を？
さっきお兄ちゃんとはぐれちゃって。
そのはぐれたお兄ちゃんに言わなかったのかい？
だってずっとおトイレはどこも使えなくて、あとおトイレ以外のところでしたって。お兄ちゃんに思われたくな かったから。
献身的な妹。そうだ、これだ。自分より弱い存在守ってあげなきゃ。これだよ、これだ。
俺が欲しかったのは
どうかしたんですか、キザミさん。
この俺が哀れと感じたこのことならまだ未来はあるんじゃないか。そうだ、哀れむ感情があるならまだ罪を許される要素があるはずだ。この子と暮らせれば。
Don't even tell me that when Kizami gets knocked out, that's the one moment he becomes like a sympathetic character. And Heavenly House is like, nope, can't have that.
そうするか。俺と暮らすか。
私やっぱり一人でお兄ちゃん。
Oh, this must be when she went to run away.
一人で？どうして？ようやく見つけたのに。どうして？こいつも俺から離れていくんだ。
ラビットラン
Bringing that back.
ダメだ。一緒に行こう。
Do the I got you thing, please. Damn.
兄さんの言うことを聞かないからだ。
I'd been screaming and crying so much that my throat was now bone dry. I couldn't manage any more than a whimper. My throat was actually in a lot of pain. It burned like someone had cut it wide open. Kizami had raised the knife as if he were about to kill me, but for some reason he just froze like that. And all I could do was lie there, struggling to breathe. Aside from his heavy panting, I could only hear the sound of my own chattering teeth. I breathed in as deeply as I could, then mustered every last bit of strength I had. I wanted to call out with all my might. I wanted to call for help. No good. The sentiment was there, but the words couldn't possibly have been heard by anyone else. Except the person I didn't want to hear them. My strange scream seemed to snap Kizami out of his trance. He brought the tip down of his knife down into my cheek, but didn't break the skin. Oh, the irony. He was looking down at me with the blank, empty eyes. It was like he'd just woken up from a really long dream.
兄ちゃんは
I was absolutely certain about that. He may not have found me yet, but I knew he was looking. He was worried and looking all over for me. It was only a matter of time. Big Brother is my prince, after all, and the prince always comes to rescue his princess. Yeah, getting back into that, are we?
来るわけないだろ。君のお兄ちゃんはここにいるんだから。
絶対に来る。
うるさい。
My struggle to get out of the words came to an abrupt end as Kizami's hand pressed down hard on my face, covering my nose and mouth and suffocating me. For all the pain and fear I was feeling, I knew I had a chance to fight back, so I opened my mouth and bit down hard on his palm. Nice. I must have bitten even harder than I thought. I could taste his blood. It was warm and minerally, and slid down my parched throat, easing a bit of the pain and dryness. Ew. He's gonna get pissed. I just kept shouting. I didn't care if those were the last words I ever said. I had no regrets, I just wanted to cry out.
来ねえ兄貴なんか来ねえ。
Oh, is this it? It all happened in an instant. Kizami just grabbed his head in both hands and let out a cry of pain that didn't even sound human.
なんだこれは。何なんだよこの声は。俺は妹が欲しかったのか。俺は妹が欲しかった。欲しかったんだ。俺より弱い存在。そうだ。俺を必要とする存在。妹という存在を。そうだ。妹がいれば俺は変われた。痛い。頭が。
He grabbed his head again and began stumbling around. He looked like he was in real pain. There were even tears in his eyes.
くそ何を気づかせたい。今さら俺に理由などいらない。ここに来てからの俺は俺だけのために全てを踏みつけてきた。それは誇りですらある。
大丈夫ですか？頭痛いの。ユカのポケットに頭痛のお薬が入ってます。出して飲んでいいです。
There it is.
なんでこうなったんだ。妹がいれば俺も兄貴みたいになれたんだ。そうだ。
慣れたはずだった。弟のために泣くようなバカにみたい。
He fell to his knees and just stayed like that, not moving, maybe not even breathing. After another unnerving yell, the huge man with the hammer just stood there, staring at me. He had blood spatter all over him. Somehow, though, I got the impression he wasn't going to attack me. He reached one hand toward me, slowly and gently. Though it may have been a little too slowly. He moved like a zombie, as if I were watching a TV show in slow motion. It almost seemed like he was afraid of me, but I was just a little girl tied to a table. What could he possibly think I'd do to him? He didn't answer. I wasn't even sure I'd heard the question. He wasn't looking at me. He was looking past me. Really? What happens to letting me go? Ugh. His mournful yell echoed throughout the room. My arms and legs suddenly went slack. I felt like I could move them now. Weird. Slowly, I opened my eyes and confirmed that this enormous man had just smashed apart the dry knots that were holding my hands and feet in place. Best go now. I knew I didn't have much time. I tried my hardest to wake up my sleeping hands and feet and shake the broken splintered ropes from my wrists and ankles. Just go. Oh my god. I have to save. And I'm really sorry to end it now, of all times in the world, but we're getting to that point. We're past that point, so I have to stop the installment. Well, we certainly made a lot of progress today. Believe it or not, this actually is a chapter that we can play. It's just that the intro sequence is very, very long, and this was pretty uncomfortable to watch. I mean, Kizami and Yuka both going through so much turmoil. Who would have guessed that at the last second Kizami almost became a sympathetic character, and of course that's the moment he gets cracked in the back of the head. That's not fair, man. This game is an asshole to absolutely everybody. And now we have the question mark person, who's obviously Sachiko, telling the zombie man to kill us, and yet he doesn't want to? I don't know why. He didn't seem to have a problem killing other children. Could it be that we're younger than some of the other ones? I'm not really seeing it. But I guess we're about to make a crucial decision. Do we dash out of here? Do we consider other options? Whatever we do, we'd better think pretty quickly. Until next time, everyone.
Yuka. 分かってるなら返事。返事は？返事がない。ならばただの屍になれや！